Hey, family, we're back again here with series one, and we're here on episode 4. And we are here with Pastor Shanetia, who is the pastor of Pillars of Truth. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm doing great today. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. Oh, I'm doing lovely.
Oh man, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. Man, listen, family, we've been coming through the week, just certainly giving you guys insight on marrying the fantasy. And I just want to encourage you to go to the YouTube and go check out series 1, episodes 1, 2, and 3, where Pastor Shanetia has given us some insight of what it is to be married. And during our last episode, definitely she allowed me to ask her some heavy questions. And in that last episode, she definitely left us with, her marriage, where she found both of them found themselves really busy and really in the mix of just trying to build their lives. And in that, things were not confronted, things were not addressed properly as they should have been. And so that is what was the result of the ending of this marriage. But in that marriage, they were blessed and they had 3 beautiful children out of it. And so I want to encourage you to go hear it, because I had to let her know, man. In that last episode, I learned, as a single woman, I learned so much. And one of my things is really to really brush things under, and when you're in relationship, it's more easier not to say anything. But she let that be, knowing that not confronting it, man, is really a death for the relationship and the marriage. And so that's just one of the things that I got from it. But I promise y'all, I'm gonna be up on YouTube because I got some more questions for her. So I want to encourage you guys to go on there and hear, listen, and really learn, because this right here is really for our learning, so that we can learn how to be better. As some of us go and proceed and we wait on marriage, but we get to learn what is important as we get ready and prepare ourselves for marriage. So thank you, Pastor Shanetia, for allowing us to get insight in that and wanting us to learn before. That's a privilege right there. I'm learning before I even walk into marriage. One time. So I'm learning to keep it. So I thank you for going through it and going through it with courage, strength, and with the ability to still love and still smile. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. But y'all go check out those episodes. And here we are today, series 1, episode 4. And like I said, we are just wrapping it up. And you are now divorced. You have moved to the Carolinas. You have your babies with you. He's going and he's doing his thing. And at this moment, how do you feel? Now that you've gone, how do you feel?
Goodness, it's a lot. I towards the end of my marriage, I had started to keep a diary. And I started writing some things down to myself, my thoughts, because it was evident in my mind that I needed some kind of help. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I definitely wasn't going to go to the church, because like I said, that was my happy place. That's like, leave all your troubles behind you, walk in that door and give God your best, and not knowing that I was broken. Like, look, God is there for you too. I'm trying to get information from God. I'm trying to get, God, what you want me to do? I'm trying to help God's people. But at the same time, I was missing something. And so when I moved to the Carolinas, I took out that diary. I said, I'm gonna just keep writing until I feel like stopping. And so I was trying to get my children in school, trying to get acclimated with where I was in the environment, and making sure they were okay. So again, I was busy, it's a lot, that takes a lot. But I was, at the same time, I had already sent my oldest son down here, which to his father. And so I thought his father, it would be better for his father to raise him. You know, he was getting older. He was about 12 and I sent him down and it wasn't going as good as I would have liked it to, you know, and my son was like, Mom, I need you. And it was like a crushing moment for me. And this is at the same time that I'm up north and I'm trying to, you know, catch my bearings, right? And so even the guy that I was dealing with after the marriage wasn't working out. So I said, oh, I'm out of here. Let me go and at least help the father of my son with my son, you know? And it just ended up that I ended up bringing him back home. Like, hey, let's let him grow up with his brothers and sisters and have a good time, you know? And so I was working on that. But my therapy was to write some things down. So I ended up writing a book, you know, and just during that process, you know, a lot of things transpired. But Carolina's trying to get my kids in school, got them in school, trying to, you know, make sure we find some normalcy about what we're doing. And day to day, I'm trying to find a church and trying to find it all, you know, so again, we're busy, but we writing some things down. So it was like some therapy for me.
Yeah. Okay. And you know, certainly I heard you say, I was dealing with another guy.
Lord have mercy.
Guy. You know, and I don't find it hard because you're a beautiful woman. You know, but just give us a little insight what that looked like though. You said I was with another guy and it wasn't working out. Just like how you meet this other guy?
Wow. Woo. Okay. Well, this other guy, he was never a stranger. He was not somebody I had to meet. He was somebody that we grew up with in the projects, you know, growing up in you know, playing ball with everybody. We all, you know, stuck together in this little circle anyway, all bottled up. So, you know, the people around you in the projects, you know, and then you see a lot go to jail, a lot of them, you know, murdered, you know, but, you know, some of us make it, you know, and he was one of the ones that my mother used to deal with and, you know, knock him in the head and say, stop acting like that, you know, but he was, you know, he was doing his best with what he knew. And I was over here minding my business. And then it just so happened, you know, nothing is by coincidence, but we're going to say it just so happened that he got in touch with somebody to get in touch with me. And so we started talking on the phone. It was like, wow, I can't believe I'm talking to you. You know, like, I can't believe I'm talking to you. And funny thing is, as an officer of the law, at a particular time, I was working undercover. Yes. And I won't say too much about that, but I was working undercover. And he was able to help me, you know, so we were really talking and it just made sense, you know, for the time. And he was asking me what I was going through and, you know, whispering in the ear, like, nah, you don't need to do nothing like that. You know, you too beautiful, you too responsible, you too this and that. Yeah. And I was listening, you know what I mean? I was listening. And so definitely. I was dealing with that guy until I started getting phone calls. Oh, that guy is with this girl. That guy's with this girl. I was like, oh, I'm out of here. You know, no worries. I'm out of here. So I went to the Carolinas and then, like, you know, I'm getting in a groove and I'm writing this book and I'm getting, you know, my kids in school and I'm going to my son's football games. And and there's this other guy who wants to help me, you know, who's overhearing a conversation about me and martial arts. And so he said, okay, what type of martial arts? So that was a whole nother conversation with a whole other guy. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with it because I'm in my mind, I'm writing in my diary and I'm getting my kids together and I got a lot going on, you know? So, but he offered, you know, and he suggested because he was listening to me and my brother go back and forth and talk and suggesting, like, if you're looking for work, you know, if you're looking, you know, to practice martial arts, you know, I can help you with that. Yes. And so, gentleman, he was just good Southern hospitality is what I call it. You know, so I kind of I was looking with my up north eyes, like my antlers went up like, I don't know about that guy.
Yeah.
But like I said, he was a gentleman, dressed well, carried himself well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept telling him, look, I got children. I got a lot going on. I'm writing a book. I got children. You don't want no parts of this.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And, I'll leave it right there because I think, did I answer the question?
Yeah. You answered it, and I just wanted to clarify that because it had to been somewhat overwhelming in that moment. I believe that it could have been felt that way, considering what you were dealing with, yet still you were in a place of needing to heal, being present, not only with yourself, but being present with the kids. And then you got all this other stuff going on, new place. So certainly, I had to ask you though, with all of that, right? You found yourself in a therapeutic moment when you said, I wrote a book. I wrote and I kept writing and writing and writing. But had you not took that moment to really understand what needed to be done for you, because I believe that this was a need that it needed to be done. But if you had not done that, if you had not paid attention, because I believe you had some focus, there was something going on, although you were still letting it out, there was a focus that I needed to do something that would help me get to the next place.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had not done that, how would it look differently if you had not said, if you did not write that out, if you did not get that therapy, what would have it look like?
Oh, that's a crazy question. Let me tell you, the way the way the devil played with my mind, right, or tried to present some things, like I could have been gay. I could have been gay. Like, oh, these marriages ain't working out. You got all these guys like me. These things ain't working out. I could have been gay.
Yeah.
I could have been, just bitter with God, could have been real bitter with God. I could have been like, Lord, you see me trying to do right by you. You see me trying to stay inside of the rules. You see me trying to be married. I wanted to be married one time, 10 kids. Let's live happily ever after. And here it is. It's like, okay, 2 marriages. I'm down here with my children. I'm happy because children, they somehow they brought me so much joy. I would look at them, I would see parts of me, parts of their fathers, and I'd be like, this is amazing, But at the same time, it was like, oh, I gotta raise these things. I gotta do something about this. And so I had to be responsible, and I was trying to act like, as a second oldest child out of 6. And the oldest being a boy, that means I'm really the oldest, because they don't know how to clean up, they don't know how to cook, they're like, what you gonna cook me, So, trying to help my mom, because she had to work, she had to go get it. And so I'm trying to help her, and I'm trying to, have my own little life, thinking I'm somebody, right? And then, now I'm raising children. And for sure, that's a serious responsibility. I'm thinking I'm gonna have 10, let them run around. I'll probably just call them numbers instead of names. You know what I'm saying? Like, come here, number 7. But really, I love children, and they were my joy. And for some reason, I had peace. I just had peace all the time, And I did. I recognized God as much as I could. So when I was hungry, I was hungry. When I wanted something from him, I would ask him. When I didn't know what I was doing, like, Lord, help me, please, And so, but for some reason, I just had a certain piece, a certain way, no matter what. Like, you know, my survival skills is on 10. You know, I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to make sure these kids can eat. I'm trying to introduce them to fried bologna. Like, yo, let's just eat some fried bologna. It's so good. It was just crazy. But like, you know, it's funny because my younger children don't know like what my older children know. Like my older children, they up north, they hardcore. Then my younger children, they like, you know, they kind of on a softer end.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated the journey. I really appreciated the journey. But at the same time, man, listen, if I hadn't written in that book, if I hadn't written that stuff down, it ain't no telling. Like I could be cussing God out. I could be trying to lay up with another woman. I don't know, you know. But I thank God that the choices that I made and the things that I did to survive, to make sure that I was okay and that me and God was okay. It worked out. It worked out. Praise God.
Oh, that sounds so good. And so this is what I want people to see, that you said, if I had not written, oh my God, I don't know what. And so there is a way out to express what you're feeling. And what I wanted people to see was that it was a positive way. And while you write it, it took nothing away, but you were able to be heard in a different way. As so many people want to be heard with yelling and screaming and fighting, and they want, and that ain't the way. Not as a human being, nor as the way as a woman of God. And so I can appreciate that you took that positive route to say, listen, I need to get this out, because literally your insides is crying out. And nobody heard it. And so I definitely wanted to bring that out. And even so, when you said, you know, right now I was focused. After 2 marriages, you had some sense of figuring out what needed to change. Is that fair to say? By the second marriage, you had some form of something had to change, something had to be different?
Well, in a sense, I always felt like, you know, I need to work on me no matter what, right? I always try to look in the mirror and say, yo, who is that lady right there? Or who is that young lady, or who is that girl, for a long time. You know, I just wanted to know, like, find my way through life. And I will say that I just said, you know, by the time the second marriage was done, I moved down here, you know, talking to guys, you know, in my mind, I was saying, I just got to get the right guy. I just got to get the right guy and everything will work out. So I can't say, even though my therapy was my therapy because of what I was going through and what I had been through.
Right.
And so I was writing it down, but I really still was saying, like, you just got to get the right guy.
Yeah.
Just got to get the right guy. That's it. You know, so I wasn't like, oh, I'm done with marriage, or, you know, I'm done with guys, you know, and those thoughts absolutely came to my mind. Absolutely. You know, and you have to think about it like, hey, bugging, you know, you got to really talk to yourself. And that's why I wrote it down. You know, like, you know, how did you start this journey? Like, what did you want? What do you want? You know, start writing things down as they had happened. I wanted to see it on paper, how my life was unfolding. And if I could see it, then maybe I could do something about it, right? And pick the right guy. And so that was my thought process, y'all. I'll get the right guy, everything will be fine. I ain't worried about it. You know, I serve a great God. You know, I serve a great God. You know, so still not saying, and I'm saying, Lord, send me the right guy.
You
know, but what does that look like? You know, what does that look like? I don't know.
You don't know.
At this time, I was in that mode. Like, I don't know what the right guy, like, well, he gonna send the right guy. I don't know if he, like, but certainly I wanted him to be attractive. You know what I'm saying? I want my eyes to say, oh man, you know, but at the same time, I was like, you got to be careful with that, you know? And so that's where I was when I moved down here. Got to be careful, you know?
Yeah. I like that. I like that response. One point you said, I always was working on me, and that's a great point to point out, because you can always better yourself, even when you've been through the worst of worst. You can better yourself, and that is not a mentality that every woman has. They think that there's a stop to it, and so I'm encouraged when you say, I look at me and I say, what can I do to make better for me? Certainly that's an encouragement. And then you go and say, I got to get the right guy. I got to get the right one. The right one has to come. So in saying that, and I praise God for the desire to still want marriage and still want to be in relationship, because certainly when you have experienced what you've experienced within just 2 marriages, it can become exhausting. But I'm hearing that even after all of that and moving to the Carolinas, now Shanetia has awareness. I believe that there was a greater and a deeper depth of relationship that in with God that has shifted some things. And now that you correct me if I'm wrong, because this is what I'm hearing while you're speaking. So if I'm wrong, let me know that, you know, there wasn't an awareness, but I strongly believe that there was an awareness, and there was a slowdown, and there was a deeper depth that you had to see, and you got that within writing and doing your therapy as well as listening. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. I was writing, and some days I was writing so fast, and it was just like, whew, I'm glad I got that out, right?
Yeah.
Not, I mean, just like I'm talking to myself, I'm putting it on paper, and I'm like, wow. So to go back and read it was hard. It was a hard thing to read what I wrote.
Yeah.
And so, but when I was reading it, I felt like at that time, that there are relationships, right? If I can put it into the right words, there are relationships where once you have them, things that were said or things that were done make you feel like you're not deserving of a better man, or you're not deserving of the man you want. And that because you didn't handle certain things right at that time, no, you dropped the ball. But when I'm reading it, it pushes me. It pushed me to move forward and try again.
Yeah.
You know, so I was so super excited. I was like, okay, I don't wrote this down. I thought I was going to throw the thing in the trash at the end of the day, go keep it in the drawer, pull it out every now and then. Yeah. And then I end up, you know, telling somebody about it. They end up trying to publish it. It got published. And then I was like, okay, they made me feel real good about it. And I thank God for it. I thank God for it. You know, like I said, it's raw, it's real. And I was telling them all my business, but it worked. You know, it worked for me. And the one thing I did know is that I would never quit. I would never quit. Whatever I wanted, Lord, if it's in your will, I gotta have it. Yeah, I gotta have it, you know. So I never saw the full picture of that. Never saw like what is it gonna look like. But I do know what type of man I need.
Okay. Yeah. And that's present. That's present talk.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. And I like that. And I must listen, this book. Could you just tell us the name of the book that was published?
It's called My Insides Cry Out. My Insides Cry Out by Shanetia Chapman.
Yeah. And certainly, I had the opportunity of reading that book. And
Lord have mercy.
I read it for the viewers. I read it when I was 18. And if I could tell you something today, certainly about the book, and to see her sitting here as an author who has published a book, the book, it really certainly speaks. The title speaks to what is displayed in the book, but certainly she was just expressing how she feels. And if I could say today, I could say that you certainly showed what forgiveness looks like and how to love, and love with nothing attached with it except God's love. So I can certainly say that that book contributed to that. So listen, I'm gonna take this moment for just to let you guys know that you guys certainly should go and get the book. I'm not going to go into detail about this book because we will certainly be doing something where she will get to explain. So I'm trying my hardest not to get into it, but it's certainly a good book. And you guys can get it on Amazon. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that is correct. And so we're going to leave that, My Insides Cry Out by Shanetia Chapman. We're going to leave that there, and you guys will get to be able to talk to the author of the book, and you'll be able to get some insight on that. But let's get back to that. I had to call the book out. I had to, this is the book. I had to call it out. But listen, you said, at some point, not deserving, not deserving of a certain man because you feel like you have maybe messed up or not really you didn't really stand up to it. I'll put it in that way. And today, at that moment, you had that thought. That's correct. You had that thought process one moment. And so then after, would you contribute your saying, I do deserve this. I do deserve that good man, and this that comes of. Do you contribute that to your faith in understanding who you are in God?
Oh yeah, I contributed to a lot of things. Like, I'm my mother's daughter. I'm my father's daughter, right? I am a child of the Most High God. So I really, walking with God, you would think that at some point, even when you're out of God's will, don't think that the enemy won't come to you and tell you that you're out of God's will, right? He'll tell you, yeah, this is where you need to be though, and at the same time, you start to think, I was thinking a lot of, should I just call it quits, or should I, and just, deal with what I have in my hand and keep going? Or should I just go ahead and try to get it right? And, there's always a man knocking at the door. So I was confident already. Like my whole life, I guess when you get that book that I don't want y'all to get, but you got to get it, I guess. You'll see that there were a lot of men in my life, a lot of men. I don't care if they were partners on the force, if they were in the church already, if they were, wherever. It's a lot of men, a lot of family, and I see how guys move and how they do, and it is discouraging. Oh, it's so discouraging, because even though, I've met some responsible men, it's very few. And what I mean by responsible is really different than what a lot of people would think, oh, he's a good father. He takes care of his kids when he can. No, not when he can, even when he don't want to. I like the obedience and I like the responsibility, but I love the sacrifice even more. I like that you'll go out of your way to make sure everything else around you is okay. And there's a lot of times that standard wasn't met. You make sure home is good, but then you make sure home is good so you can go out here and play. And see, I didn't like that part, about men. And so it really was discouraging. It was like, oh, you can't win regardless of what you do. So I was thinking, I'm already down 2 marriages, right? And so it's like, hey, I mean, I'm going to lose because of what I've been seeing, what I'm used to, but certainly my faith in God.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But if you can show me that one, there's somebody out there, And so at the same time, I still had to work on me. And that's the part that I didn't consider as much as I should have. I considered it, and I said, oh, girl, you look good. You're all right. You know what you're doing. You know how to cook. You know how to do this and that. You're a decent parent. But it's so much more to a woman. So much more, especially her thought process in a way. She thinks about a man is important. To marriage. The way she thinks about a man, the way she incorporates God inside of her marriage is important. So a lot of things that are very, very important.
Yes.
And I was just running for my life. I was just running for my life. I was I was young. That's what I'm gonna keep saying. I was young. That's what I'm blaming on.
Yeah.
But certainly I could have regarded God a lot more. In that area. Because where I used God at was stuff that I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted them to know more about him, draw closer to him, and forget about, my surroundings. I thought, hey, I'm in a ministry. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
And God is a God where, I'm in every single thing. I'm not in what you call a ministry, whatever you put a name on, but I'm in absolutely everything you do. Like, I am a child of God, So God is my father, and then he fills the void for everything that I don't have, for everything I'm lacking.
Yes.
And for everything I need. And I was so busy trying to make sure everybody else is okay. I forgot to say, Father, help me. Father, I need you, And so, it's a lot to it. It's a lot of dynamics to it, but certainly, I really, it's a journey, it's just a journey that you go on. And every now and then you got to see how far you've come. Absolutely. And the good, you gotta just understand the good and the bad, And a lot of times we don't embrace the bad. We rather just forget about it. Let's just push it down. We don't embrace the bad, but we gotta see it for what it is, so that we can move forward. And so it took me a minute. Oh my goodness, it took me a minute to get that part. Because hey, if a man is knocking at the door, you cute, you can cook, you can get a man. You can get a man. Don't worry about that. I ain't even gonna ask God for a man. He's gonna be knocking at the door. So I kind of live like that. It's just easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and certainly, what I like that you said was, you certainly, you saw what I'm gonna reiterate. You saw what needed to be, and certainly you said I could have considered God a little bit more, and I think a lot of us have been there. Some of us still there, where we feel like the relationship is a control of just you and I, or you and the partner, but certainly don't consider God. So now that you have written this book, you have moved on. Now you are considering you a little bit more. And with that, raising your children. And then you keep saying, certainly there's always a man. So about how long had it been before you've been down here, before if relationship even came? Because certainly it's a desire for you to be in relationship that goes on to marriage.
It was about 7 days. It was about 7 days. The guy, he heard us talking.
Yeah.
And And he never left. He never left. You know, I tried to say, hey, I got a bunch of kids. You don't want to deal with me. And so write a book. I don't have time. But I said everything I could say. He said, woman, shut up. Basically, like, don't tell me what's on my plate. And we started going out, and then he was helping me find work, things like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, he was a gentleman, and it was the craziest thing. But when I was up north and I had a miscarriage, the doctor told me, and this is a doctor I definitely relied on, like, yes, this is the doctor. She said, I'm sorry. She said, you can't have any more children. Your body can't take no more.
Okay.
I said, look, I'm okay because I got plenty. God has blessed me, right? So if I can't get to the 10, it's okay. And she said, okay, at this time, I had the 5 children that I birthed, and then I was on this miscarriage. And then I had my adopted daughter, right? Okay. And so I said, okay. So when I moved down here, I was all set. So I met the guy, and, things are progressing. As things progress, and the conversation is, no, I can't have any more children. Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's fine. I already have 2.
Yeah.
It's great. Until one day, I'm sick. Let me tell you, I was losing weight. I was happy. I was getting in a groove. And I had finished the book. And I was, kids were in school. Oh, we had troubles here and there, but I had a good job out. Everything was going to plan. I had found a church, and I was teaching Sunday school again. So it's like, okay, Lord have mercy. Whew. Listen, I got sick. We was engaging in sexual activity, and I got sick, and I was like, why am I sick?
Yes.
And I didn't think in a million years that I would be pregnant again.
Right.
Didn't think. It happened. And when it happened, I was like, wait a minute, let me go to the doctor because I feel like I'm on my cycle, but I'm sick. And I know I can't have children. Right. And I've been losing weight. So I really don't know what's going on with my body. And I remember the day, like it was yesterday, he was going to work and he said, well, just take a test and wait for me to get home before you take it. He left out that door. I left out the door. I went and got a test. That thing came back saying I was pregnant. I said, no way. There's no way. So when he called, he said, you couldn't wait, could you? I said, no. He said, what did it say? I said, it say something it shouldn't say, So I ended up going to the doctor, and the doctor confirmed it.
Okay.
I said, somebody lying. Either the doctor that I had lied, or you lied, or somebody lied.
Yes.
Listen, you pregnant.
That
was heavy. That was very heavy at the time because my last child I had was my son. Yep. He was already in school.
Yes.
And no more diapers, no more Infamil, no more babies enter my mind.
Yes.
I'm going forward with my life, and I'm doing half of what God called me to do. And so half of what he called me to do. Look, I'm thinking I'm doing something. I ain't doing nothing. And so it turned into something crazy. It was like it was bittersweet after that, because I know I'm about to have a baby. But now he sees that, hey, you pregnant? You told me you couldn't get pregnant. So what we gonna do about it? And that question, I didn't enjoy the question at all. Again, that's my mindset.
Yes.
And that's I don't even know what you're talking about because this. Yeah. I mean, what other option do we have?
Yeah.
So he presented me with another option. And it was so bad. It
Yeah.
was so bad. And I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then I presented with him with an option.
Okay.
The godly thing to do is to get married.
Yeah.
That's it. Already outside of the will of God, sleeping with the guy, right?
Yeah.
And trying to get us back inside the will of God and say, hey, we got to get married. And he's like, no, well, I already have enough children. You have enough children. So why don't I go with you and we just get rid of the child?
Yeah.
You must have bumped your head because that's not happening. That's kind of how the conversation went. That's not happening. And so we played this game where he was trying to hide the pregnancy with his other children, and it was like, again, I felt disrespected, put on a back burner. Ain't nobody hearing me. I got to live this out, And so we ended up getting married and having a baby girl. Okay. Oh, best thing ever happened to me. And best thing besides his other two that happened to him, Yeah. And so, and her brother and sister love her to death, Yeah. And so, but it didn't start like that. It started crazy. So it was bittersweet. Okay. And I ended up marrying him, and we stayed together for about 5 years. Mm-hmm. But we were just different. Yeah. We were just different in our thought process. And so even if I tried to explain myself or tried to get him to see who I was, it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out. Yeah. Yeah. So 5 years we were married before I got another divorce. Okay. And again, somebody else is knocking at the door. And it had to be the same person that was knocking at the door the last time. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Okay. It was a lot. Yes. Yeah. I bet that was a lot. That was a lot, and certainly you gave that insight and wrapped that up real good. But that's our time for now, and certainly I don't want to have to start another question and then after we run over our time, right? But certainly that was that was a lot, but I certainly we gonna go into that our next episode. But if you have any words, you go ahead and you just take it. Listen, like always, man, you be asking the questions, so I try my best to just answer them, just say what it is I need to say, and I praise God for you. I really do, because I'd be like, Lord, is she gonna ask me that? I can almost hear it coming. I can almost see you thinking about it. But again, if it helps, like I said, to God be the glory. And that's the bottom line. I guess by the time we get to the end, God will get enough glory out of this whole ordeal. Praise God. And and then hopefully there'll be young women out there that understand that it's really you really get one chance, to go through life. You get time is going no matter what. And we have to keep moving. But at the same time, we got to find a way to enjoy the journey. And we got to do whatever it takes for us to be our best selves, And so whatever God allows us to go through, we can't beat ourselves up about it. We just got to keep moving. And we got to take God with us everywhere we go, So I thank God for this season. I thank God for this season right here, where I get to live single, practice self-control, but I really do. I thank God for the journey. This is in no way, shape, or form a way to say, you know what, I wish none of that never happened. I'm really glad it happened because it showed me who I was. It built me to this point, So I really thank God for it all. I really do. Oh man, that's wonderful. Certainly, it's always an honor to be able to sit among those who have certainly endured, but endured, took it,
and came out, man, that's that right there. And you certainly sit well in it. And you stand firm on it, you know. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, really, what I wonder what scripture really, because the way you sit, you present, I know the viewers would want to know, what is the scripture that lay on her heart, that keeps her, that pushed her and all that. But we're gonna do that in the next episode, because it just came to me. It just came to me. I because I'm looking at you, I'm like, certainly she's a warrior. You know, but I don't know you, I don't know it, you know, but I'm looking forward to knowing it. But that's our time, y'all. We thank y'all. We love you guys. Go check it out on YouTube. Marrying the Fantasy with Pastor Shanetia, Pillars of Truth on YouTube. Love y'all much.
Praise God. Praise God.